first notice a person will typically get when they're facing a copyright infringement lawsuit for downloading illegal pornographic content is a letter from their internet service provider, which will be in response to a subpoena that they've been served for information. The letter will typically advise the subscriber that they have a certain amount of time to file a motion to oppose or quash the subpoena. The purpose of the subpoena is that the internet service provider is going to ultimately be required to provide the subscriber's information to the plaintiff. At the outset, all the plaintiff has is the person's IP address. But the IP address doesn't have a name and an address, a physical address behind it. And so the purpose of the subpoena is for the plaintiff who has filed the lawsuit to determine the identity of the person they've sued. So to say, the person behind the IP address. One of the many reasons it's important to act quickly when you receive such a letter is because after a certain amount of time has passed, your internet service provider will be required to disclose that information to the plaintiff. And what difference does that make? Well, the answer is that once the plaintiff has your information, firstly, they can and ultimately will amend the lawsuit to name you as opposed to just naming your IP address. And that can be pretty embarrassing because that's a matter of public record. But secondly, they can go online and they can try to find all kinds of information about you to try to determine how much money you might be worth. That is to say that because they've sued you for copyright infringement, if they know that you have substantial assets, a job, a house, perhaps you live in an upper-class community, it makes the lawsuit more worthwhile for them. So that's one reason why it's really important to try to get a jump start on this case and contact a lawyer as soon as possible. Because if you contact a lawyer early on in the case, what may be able to happen, as it does in a majority of our cases, is that we can settle on our client's behalf without the plaintiff ever finding out who they are. As long as we can settle the case prior to the responsive deadline on the subpoena, then we can protect our client's identity. On the other hand, sometimes people get these letters and they think that it's just a scam or they don't really understand what it is. And as a result, the plaintiff ends up having their information. So in the event that time has gone on and the internet service provider has given your information to the plaintiff, the best idea really is to try to remove any information from the internet that may give them an inkling as to your net worth. So for example, you may have social media accounts that are public. You may have posted pictures on those social media accounts of your house, your expensive car. It may also list the college, the university that you attended. If they see that you attended an expensive college or that you live in an expensive area, that might also increase the value of the case in their eyes, because that means that they're going after somebody with deeper pockets, so to say, than somebody with limited assets. So all things considered, those are two reasons why it's important to try to get an early start on the case. One, because they're going to have your information and they may amend the complaint and that may embarrass you. And two, they're going to start digging into you to try to find out what kind of monetary settlement you may be able to provide. The third issue revolves around the issue of legal fees. The more time that goes on, the more legal work that has to be performed by the plaintiff's lawyers. In the first instance, they have to file a lawsuit which involves a filing fee. Ultimately, they're going to have to hire a process server to serve you with the complaint. And they're going to spend other time doing this discovery to try to find out who you are and what you're worth. And so as time goes on and more legal fees get expended by the plaintiff's lawyers, the more and more money they're going to want to recover from you to make it worth their while. So we have found that the earlier on that somebody contacts us and the earlier on that we represent them, we can help protect their identity and also settle the case for a much more reasonable sum before the plaintiff has expended a lot of money on attorney's fees. If you've been served with a letter, a subpoena, or a lawsuit for copyright infringement by either Strike 3, Malibu Media, or another rights holder, please contact us immediately so we can help walk you through the various steps that we will take to help protect your identity and minimize the impact of what could be a very, very significant copyright infringement lawsuit.